Hello, hey. We have Obscure here today. Yeah. Here at Rio Bravo, about to interview local tattoo artist Kenneth.
Hello.
Hello.
Like I said before, thank you so much for letting us jump in on your session. We're going to dive into it, but here at Rio Bravo, doing some cool stuff.
Very excited. So,
me too.
Yeah, let's get started.
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome.
Hi.
Hi. How long have you been in the industry for?
I've been tattooing for a little over 12 years.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
That's a long time. Are you from Albuquerque?
No, I'm from Indianapolis.
Okay.
But I've lived in Albuquerque for, I think like 12 years or something.
Oh, wow.
I learned how to tattoo here in Albuquerque, and then I moved back home for a short while, and then I decided to come back. I people like to joke about like the land of entrapment or whatever, but I think there really is something special about New Mexico, especially for artists. You know, there's there's a lot of variety here, a lot of culture, a lot of opportunities.
Would you say the art and the culture here is an influence in your personal work?
Definitely.
Yeah.
A lot of my drawing habits, at least, if not my style, come from Marie Senna. She's kind of who got me into the industry and opened the door for me.
Okay.
And she has been doing like Spanish market since she was like a child.
Okay.
So a lot of that, like I've really grown to love and appreciate like that the kind of like retablo art, you know, like early Spanish religious art and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think that stuff is really tattooable, even going outside of the Spanish side of it. You know, I'm really interested in medieval stuff.
Oh, nice.
Medieval art, medieval studies. You know, that I think that might have been, you know, a factor that opened the door for me there. I draw some inspiration from that stuff.
Okay, so you would say you mix both inspirations together and that's what makes up your personal style?
Oh, man. I think my inspirations come from all over the place. I think that's like so hard for me to nail down. Mostly, I have ADHD, and I spent most of my life unmedicated for it, and so I have to be really careful with what I expose myself to artistically. You know, I'll see something and I'll say like, ooh, I want to do something like this, and ooh, I want to do something like that. And I typically can, but the downside is that I felt for a long time that prevented me from actually developing a style, because I was so interested in so many different things, and there's so many good tattooers in the world. It's hard not to be, you know, amazed by them. You know, that's, I guess, like for my artistic style, I'm very heavily influenced in American traditional. I don't think you can beat it, you know, as far as tattooing goes. And yeah, I think that's just kind of like where I like to stay. You know,
okay.
Just bold lines, simple shapes.
Yeah.
That, you know, and bright colors that will, you know, hopefully last forever.
Oh, yeah.
At least until you're dead.
Well, I really like what you have going on here. What is this?
Thank you. So this is just a little rose and a banner. It's a pretty classic tattoo imagery. There's a heart in there too. This is for Erin's daughter, Meadow. She's a month old.
Oh.
So
congratulations.
Yeah. So we're commemorating her today, which I'm really excited about. I've tattooed Erin a lot. I did this whole leg here. I did this whole leg. I did that whole arm.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So
check out Kenny's work.
Yeah, a lot of it. I did his back, some stuff on his stomach and ribs.
Nice.
So Erin and I have really got to know each other for a long time. So when this opportunity came about, he was the one who initially contacted me. And then
Okay.
when I knew I kind of wanted to do something a little bigger, or at least hand-sized on somebody, I was like, I should probably just get Aaron in there. So
Yeah.
I think I traumatized him last time I tattooed him.
This is a big. So, how do you keep your creative juices flowing? How do you stay out of that, I guess, artist block?
I think the best thing to do for me, I think, is to keep yourself involved in the community that you're around. Find your people, who inspire you, and, talk with them, meet with them. I think, humans in general are such a social species. But art, I think a lot of people see art as a solitary act, and I think it can be. I'm sure there's plenty of people out there who have found success with that. But to me, I think a lot of art, especially tattooing, I guess is where I'm coming from. Tattooing is a social activity. I can't do this without Aaron.
Yeah.
So I think when it comes to staying motivated, you ready, big guy?
Yes, sir.
I think maybe not motivated, I guess, but inspired. I just think it's important to communicate with people. Is that kind of answering your question?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because, like I said, I can ramble sometimes.
Do you feel like clients coming in with their own ideas, does that kind of bring you inspiration?
Totally.
Trying to work together on their vision?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think there's a lot of people who get into tattooing, and what happens is, I think, this is just coming from my observations, but a lot of people who get into tattooing, I feel like nowadays, and in the past, is kind of to be like, oh yeah, I really love doing art, and I want to do my art on people. And that's like a fine thing to do. I'm there, and there's, like I said, there's tons of people who have found success with that. But the downside to that, or I guess the trap is that tattooing is a service industry. You're here providing a service for your clients. And sometimes that fits within your wheelhouse, and sometimes it doesn't. Especially now. It's funny, I got into tattooing, it sounds like such an old fart thing to say, but I got into tattooing just before Instagram was bought out by, Facebook or Meta. Okay. And back then, you had your MySpace, but it wasn't like you had to be your own social media manager, or your own PR team or whatever.
The way the algorithm ran back then too is totally different.
100%. And the downside, the upside is that tattooers are so much easier to find and get a hold of, and I feel like a lot of people develop those parasocial relationships, with people online that they follow, and that's all good stuff. But the downside is that tattooers are chained to it. If you don't have a huge following, if you don't have a decimal point in your Instagram followers, if you're not posting, I feel like you just get forgot about. Everything's moving so fast. People are so distracted, rightfully so, with everything that's going on in the world and the country and people's personal lives. there's all of that stuff. And why, like, why should somebody remember, like, oh yeah, Kenny does tattoos here, I should book with Kenny. So posting, especially like on your stories and stuff like that, it just helps remind people that you're there.
Oh yeah.
And then like, Meta wants to block you from that by, only showing your post to so many of your followers and stuff like that. So it ended up just becoming this like terrible cycle.
And there's so many artists online too who are all trying to get recognized by the same community, and so I'm sure it's very tough.
Exactly. The pool is huge.
Yeah.
And like the good thing is that, like my style's not going to be for everybody, but it's going to be for some. And that's okay.
Yeah. Well,
Kermit the Frog once said, maybe you don't need the whole world to love you. Maybe you just need that one person.
and that's true. That's totally true. Especially when you're trying to collaborate people who have maybe a vision that's similar to yours, but different enough that it makes it unique.
Exactly. Yeah. And there's so much. I feel like there's a ton of that now, where like people are tattooing these like little cartoon characters and stuff in their style, or they're like, weird designs, but it's, I guess the way that I see it is like it's this art style that's almost derived from like, it's really folk art, but I think for a newer generation, it's stuff like Adventure Time,
Okay.
which is like kind of folky already. But like there's people who do like these little cartoons and stuff like that.
Calling it Adventure Time folky makes me feel so old.
I know, right? But that's where their artists get their, some of their stuff from.
Well, moving into that, talking about upcoming tattoo artists, what is some advice you would give to an aspiring artist?
Man, there's so much that goes through my mind when I am asked this question. The biggest one is figure out why you want to do this. If I were to tell you something, figure out why you want a tattoo. Is it because you love art? Okay, that's reason enough. But if there's something deeper there, I think you should try to explore that. And then there's just like a bunch of practical advice. Like, I would tell people to trace designs, because it's actually hard to get a good tracing. That's what you're doing most of the time. I'm tracing right now.
Oh, yeah.
So that's like a huge, well, maybe not a huge portion, but at least a portion of your career as a tattoo artist is figuring out how to make like a good drawing. And sometimes tracing, especially if you're into traditional, those old designs are there for you. They've been there for 80 years or so. And I think what happens, and people who don't get this advice to trace stuff end up making, especially in traditional, I can only speak to traditional.
Okay.
But they end up making designs that look very amateur.
Okay.
And that's, nothing against them. But it's funny, the panther heads that I was doing when I was learning how to draw sucked. And they look exactly the same as every other young traditional panther head.
Okay.
Young tattooers' panther heads. And so it's like funny seeing this like pattern repeat itself. And I'm like, man, like Ed Hardy's right there. Just trace the panther head.
Yeah.
Because like, you're going to learn, like your muscles are going to develop. You're going to, and when you trace, you're paying attention to something, like, oh, this is why, like, this is why the brow is shaped like this, or this is why this is why the mouth goes open like that. This is how the teeth are and should be. Like there's a very specific look to a lot of this traditional, especially the classic imagery, panthers, eagles, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you can break those rules, but when I was learning, I was told, like, if you're going to break the rules, you got to learn them first.
So tracing helps you become a better artist and helps you
Yes.
understand why things are the way they are
Yeah,
when
exactly.
drawing.
How things are the way they
Okay.
are. I mean, and not even from an artistic standpoint, from a technical standpoint also. It's like, if I'm tracing something, I can see how a banner should taper out, or the distance between two lines.
Okay.
These are all like calculated things that go through a tattooer's mind when they're tattooing, because I know, one day, hopefully, Aaron's going to make it to old age. And if my lines are so packed in together or too close together, like those, the ink remains liquid under the skin. So it's going to expand and change with Aaron's body as he ages. And the purpose in getting a tattoo, or the value in getting a tattoo at least, is to get something that is going to last as long as possible.
Gotcha. Would you say the piece of advice of learning how to trace first, would you give that advice across the board, even to maybe painters and...
Maybe not. Not to
Okay.
painters. I mean, painting is so different. If you're painting tattoo flash, then yes.
Gotcha.
If
Okay.
you're just doing like fine art, go nuts. Paint often,
Yeah.
and develop your style. But I would say the same thing to any artist, about like exploring your options, exploring what you like, what you don't like, your style, your preferences. All of that's going to change, and that's okay. Like, that's good. Whenever that stuff changes, you're leveling up a little bit at a time.
Yeah. I like that. What are some other things that you wish you knew when you first started?
Oh man, I wish I knew how to do taxes.
Okay. Don't we all?
Yeah.
What you're
Yes.
too, right? And you have to like manage your accounts, and you have to manage your...
You got to do all of that, or you got to be like me and find a CPA. Because I am not good with. I can do some. I'm not an idiot, but I can, like, I don't like doing like advanced math, and I'm not very good at keeping track of things. And the ADHD. But when you're, it's, there's like the meme that like, the IRS won't tell you how much money you owe. And if it's a guessing game, and if you get it wrong, you go to jail. Like, I've been in debt with the IRS for so much money for such a long time. They're not going to arrest you, but they'll send you some letters every now and again.
Oh my gosh.
And that took, it was rough. And, I've had my identity stolen and stuff, but also, like, that stuff, it took me a long time to fix, and I couldn't fix it without a CPA. So seek help. That's
Okay.
just general people advice. If you don't like doing something, find help.
And you're looking for a location now for yourself, right? To open up
I
a new
am.
shop. How's that process going? I mean, on the business side of being a tattooer, what is that like?
It's awful. The weird thing that I've discovered, this might be across the nation, it might just be Albuquerque,
Okay.
but it seems like property managers are allergic to money. They do not want to rent to anybody. And there's like plenty of places that are like, no, we don't want tattooers. And it's like, okay, like, I get that. But then there are places who are like, oh yeah, we'll totally take a tattooer. But then like they drag their feet for weeks or months, and they don't just want to tell you no, but they can't tell you yes. And yeah, it is.
Why do you think that they give off that kind of energy or treatment? I mean, is this something just you feel is targeted towards being a tattoo artist, or just overall,
I
finding?
I think yes. I think there's a lot of tattooers. Well, tattooing has been through a lot, especially in America. And so there's like this huge stigma against tattooers. You know, a lot of people think that we are, you know, drug addicts or, you know, drunks, or we're mean, or we're in a biker gang, or like whatever. And like, yeah, that's true for some of us, but not for all of us. So it's funny, like, just seeing how tattooers are judged. You know, when I got the back of my head tattooed, I definitely felt people's perception of me change. Just with like those more extreme spots. We, you know, in Albuquerque, we're lucky that there's so many tattooed people here that you typically don't get, you know, many looks. You might in certain parts of town, but I think people are like a little more easygoing here, or somewhere like, you know, Portland, or maybe even Chicago.
Yeah. This kind of leads into my next question too, of wanting to get your take on how you feel the culture, the tattoo culture has evolved throughout the years. As a tattoo artist, as someone who just loves getting tattoos, and
it's so different. It's crazy. I still, you know, like, I'm 37. I'll be 38 this year. And I still consider myself pretty young. I feel young. I don't know if that'll ever go away. But it is so bizarre seeing the world change around you this quickly. And it's very prevalent everywhere. But when you're making your career something like this, like, it's artistic and it's technical, you see everything change so fast. It's like almost in a blink of an eye. You know, like when I learned how to tattoo, it was like rotary machines, like what I'm using now, weren't really in the, I guess the zeitgeist is maybe the right word. Like, they weren't like in the popular culture. Okay. Almost everybody was using coil machines, which are the loud, you know, traditional machines that everybody thinks of when you think of a tattoo machine.
Okay. And what would you say, what do people use more often now?
Probably these rotary pens.
Okay.
There are some people who are still, as we say, loyal to the coil. But for me, I hate wires. So having something that's wireless, I can't run over my cord anymore or get it wrapped around me, or it mysteriously tugs on something. So it's much more convenient. But
okay,
all of the tools have changed in tattooing. With the advent of these pens, like, you're no longer just using tattoo needles. A lot of people are using cartridges. That's what I'm using today.
Okay.
And, you know, iPads have changed everything. You don't have to, you know, buy, you know, when I was learning, I can't tell you how much money I probably spent on tracing paper and markers. And now I don't need any of that. Yeah. You know, better for the environment a little bit, which is great.
Okay.
But yeah, it's just crazy seeing how much everything's changed.
And how about the media side of things? How do you feel? I know we kind of touched on this regarding social media. How do you feel like mainstream media has affected the culture, the styles, how people react to people with tattoos, all of these things?
I think we're in a weird time right now.
Yeah.
I feel like we're in the rising tide of conservatism. So tattoos may be falling out of favor with a certain demographic of people. But for the people who really love tattooing and tattoos, it'll stay around. Instagram, like I said, changed everything. The big one, is probably Ink Master. I know I'm not the only one, who's talked about that. And I'm not saying Ink Master was like good or bad, and Lord knows I've watched some of it. I have a lot of clients who that's like their only frame of reference to tattooing is Ink Master.
Okay.
So, maybe without that show, they would have never had the courage to step into a tattoo shop because tattoo shops can be scary. So, maybe we have Ink Master to thank for that. Maybe it's, and I think too, like, especially now, people are much more aware that, like, reality TV is like a sham, I guess, it's like garbage TV, it's junk.
Junk TV that could maybe be addictive sometimes.
Totally, right? Well, that's the goal. It's like engineered, like McDonald's like puffs out their fry scent into the air or whatever. That's a marketing tactic.
Oh, yeah.
You definitely see the same thing with reality TV. So, but my point in saying that is that, people now know to take Ink Master with like a grain of salt.
Gotcha.
Like, I remember one time this lady came in, she wanted her daughter to get a tattoo who was too young for me. And I was like, so I declined.
Okay.
But she wanted to get tattooed. I guess she was like, well, I'll get a tattoo then. And, which I respect. And she was showing me a design that she liked. And I was like, okay. And she was like, how long do you think this will take? And I was like, I don't know, maybe like 20 minutes. And she was just blown away because she told me that, everyone on Ink Master gets like 6 hours to do a tattoo. And I'm like, oh yeah, but they're not doing this, like, although I don't know if I could work 6 hours tattoo if I tried.
Do you feel like there's any mainstream tattoo artists that have really inspired you or have really influenced artists across the board?
I don't know what it means to be a mainstream tattoo artist.
Maybe just well known by lots of people, if you, regardless of where in the world you might be.
Influencer.
Yeah, there
Right,
we go.
exactly.
Influencer might be better term.
Man, I try not to be a curmudgeon, but I hate that shit, man.
Okay.
And it's like, I understand for some people that's like what they like. It's a good it's a good way to get out, and people are like, they're taking advantage of the algorithm. And maybe if I knew how to do that, maybe I would do it too. I don't know, but
Okay.
I just can't see myself doing these like, ASMR, come like set up for this tattoo with me. That stuff just like really boggles my mind.
Yeah, I didn't even know tattoo ASMR existed.
I'm sure it does.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, some people really like the sound of the needle.
Hey, maybe you got yourself your own content idea right now.
I know. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'll just run my machine for a couple hours and
There you go.
make some clips.
Alexis and I were talking about, what questions we were going to ask, how we're going to hang out. What are some reflections you have on, permanently marketing something? I know it's not fully permanent.
Well, yeah, it's permanent enough. It's permanent and more permanent than some things. Ed Hardy once said that tattooing was like as ancient as time and as modern as tomorrow.
Oh, I like that.
And that's so true. Because it evolves every single day. And yet, like, this rose is not that different than a rose done from like Doc King in the 40s, almost 100 years ago. And I think I when it comes to permanently altering somebody's body, I gave my friend Eric a piece of advice one time because he was so intimidated. He had a lot of anxiety about it, and I have anxiety about tattoos still today. I'm nervous doing this. So sorry, Aaron. Get it? But
How are you doing?
yeah, I'm good.
Okay, good.
Doesn't even hurt, does it?
It does.
When it comes to permanently altering somebody's body, yeah, I gave my friend Eric a piece of advice one time, and I was like, this is going to sound bad, dude, but like, care less. Like, nobody cares more about your tattoo, hopefully, than your tattoo artist. For me especially, like, I'm 6 inches away from your tattoo. I see every little mistake, quote unquote mistake. I see every like wobbly line, every little piece that's like not connected or where it should be, but that doesn't mean that we're, uninterested or not trying. It's just like, that's the nature of marking somebody's body forever.
Yeah.
Is that like, I'm tattooing around like a curved surface right now, and Aaron's breathing, and with that he's moving a little bit, and I'm talking the whole time. Like, all of these things are like just these little factors that go into how a tattoo looks at the end. And the more you stress out about it, at least for me, the more I stress out about it, the more I'm like focused on all of these little things that like my client's never going to notice, and like one, like, Aaron will never notice these things. And then two, when I post it on Instagram, people are going to double tap and scroll. Nobody is sitting there and being like, let's look at Kenny's line work today, like, I hope not, at least. But we're done with the lines, buddy. I usually tell people, like, did you get to pick your ears or your nose or that mole on your back or whatever, and the answer is no. Like, none of us got to pick that. We just come out the way we are. And at least with a tattoo, you have the chance to have a say in it. And then once you get it, it just becomes a part of you.
I love that.
You can hear a lot of tattoo. I mean, me specifically, during winter, if I'm wearing pants, for 6 months or whatever, as soon as I put shorts on in the summer, I'm like, oh, I forgot I had all these tattoos, like, I forget I forget the stuff on my calf all the time, or like, I'm still surprised when I take my socks off and I see the tattoos on my feet.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it just becomes this part of you that you had input in, and that becomes like, this like symbolic piece of art. And for me, at least, like, when I look back at my tattoos, I remember where I was in my life, every single one, like, even if I just picked them off the wall. Like, I remember what I was doing and where I was working, and I have a really trash memory. But I'm still contemplating that stuff, So, yeah, it sticks with you. It becomes part of you.
And becoming part of you, in my experience, is you don't even think about them after a while. You get it, you love it for a little bit, and then it just becomes a part of you, and you don't think twice about it.
Exactly. There's a lot of people out there, where did I hear this word? I heard this term recently called tattoo shock. And it's when people get tattooed and then they immediately hate it. They look at it and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe I did this. I can't believe it looks like this. I can't believe I altered my body.
Yeah.
I can't, all this stuff. And I understand why people get that. I do. And, but the good news is that most people who experience that will tell you that it goes away. Like, eventually you're just like, oh yeah.
It's part of who you are.
Yeah, exactly. I think, for me, what makes a tattoo, I was told, a long time ago by one of my heroes, Aaron Coleman. He told me one time, I got a lot of friends. I may be getting him in trouble here, but he said, I got a lot of friends, and some of them are really good and they're not so nice, and some of them are really nice and they're not so good.
Oh.
And I'd rather get tattooed by the nice guys.
Yeah.
And that's how I am too. I carry that with me all the time. I'm here to, and going back to tattooing being a social experience, I'm here to give you a good time. You know, like the art's a bonus, you know, like if you don't want to talk to me, that's okay. I'm still going to try everything I can to make you feel comfortable.
Oh, yeah.
And make sure that you're having as good of a time as you can, you know, while you're experiencing this trauma.
Oh, yeah. And I'll say on the other side, just being someone who loves getting tattoos, the relationship you have with the artist means a lot as well.
Oh, yeah,
And
absolutely.
if you jive well with them, if you like their style, all of that you take into account. So.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a reason people are like, refer to like my artist, you know? And it's because no matter what they've done, they've had a good time, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Is it okay if I wear my headlamp?
Yeah.
Is this okay? Okay. Yeah.
So I know the definition is different to everyone, but on a personal level, what do you find a meaningful tattoo? What is meaningful to you? Maybe taking into account your own personal tattoos, which ones mean the most to you and why?
You know, I have a lot of tattoos, and they all mean something to me. There are some that are maybe more, I guess, sentimental than others.
Okay.
Like, I have my mom's name on my leg, which she, you know, pretended like she was mad about it. Just like what we were talking about, you know, typically when I get tattooed by somebody, I'm there with the attitude of having a good time. I think that's like what makes it. That's what I would tell. Maybe that's, you know, that's advice for somebody.
Yeah.
You know, go to your tattoo artist with the mentality of like, I'm here to have fun. And if you are familiar with the artist at all, or if your friend's been tattooed by, you know, like word of mouth is so powerful for tattooers. You're gonna have a good time. And then, you know, unless your tattoo is like totally botched or whatever, like you're gonna like it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm the same way. I have some tattoos that aren't so good. But that's okay. I got really good ones around it, you know?
Yeah.
now I just remember like how much fun I had.
Nice.
Or, you know, like if it's somebody if it's not good and it's somebody that I don't like, you know, I get something on top of it.
Okay.
And get rid of it as best I can, or I learn to understand that no matter what, you have agency, but you don't have control, is what I would say.
Gotcha. Well, thank you so much for doing this with us. For people watching, where can they find you? Where can they book you?
Right.
Yeah. How do we get a hold of you?
So right now, the best place to get a hold of me is my, let's see, we're falling in the trap, but find me on Instagram.
Okay.
Which is kenneth.tattoos.
Okay.
And then you can also find my website, kennethtattoos.com.
Okay, awesome.
Like we said earlier, I'm in the process of opening a little spot. So now's a pretty fun time to follow me, I think, because I'm definitely going to be like posting photos and updates and stuff like that about what's going on. And I have some really cool ideas for the shop that I'm excited to share with people. So it's a good time to come hang out.
Awesome. Well, follow Kenny and support him in his journey of starting his own shop, which is super exciting. Support local and support your local artists. So this is great. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anything else you want to tell everybody?
Get tattooed.
Get tattooed. Just do it.
Just do it.